All right, boys and girls, are you ready to hear a story? It was the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a... Who is making all that racket?
I'm so sorry, I was finishing my cookies for Santa.
Hello, lovely humans, and welcome back to my channel, Thighs the Limit. It is Christmas Eve, although you guys will be seeing this on Christmas, so Merry Christmas. I am, of course, very appropriately dressed in my Grinch leggings, which I'm really excited about. In the spirit of Christmas and all the weight we try not to gain over the holidays, I thought I would talk to you guys today about how I lost the weight the first time I did it, and why it did not work, and I gained it all back, and then some. So about 2 years ago, I was taking a class for my undergrad called Exercise Physiology. I learned a ton in that class about how muscles and about how the human body works, and it was amazing. There was one particular aspect of that class that really got me thinking. So our professor absolutely loved fitness and exercise, and just hearing her talk about it, like, the excitement was contagious and it was awesome. But one thing I noticed is at the beginning of every class, she would ask, okay, who worked out this morning? And as I would look around me, I would notice I had some really active classmates. And most of those mornings, admittedly, it was like a 9 a.m. class and I was like in the first row because, sleepy. But even with that, so many of my classmates would raise their hands and be like, oh, I did this type of workout this morning, or I was active in this way. From that, I learned two things. One, I really was not that active compared to the rest of my classmates. But two, there are so many different ways to work out. One of the things she talked about was how you can work out any way you want. Like, if you hate going to the gym, don't freaking go to the gym. If you hate running, don't go running. For me, I love kayaking. I love playing Beat Saber. I love playing DDR. They're silly games, but they get me active. If I go kayaking out on the lake, it gets my heart pumping. I get a great ab and arm workout, and it's just fun. I'm like, oh, nature, finally, less homework. For me, it was really the first insight to the fact that it was okay to get excited about working out. Like, this was a privilege. It wasn't just a responsibility. Like, should you take care of your body? Absolutely. But the big thing for me was like, oh my gosh, okay, I can actually enjoy what I'm doing. I just need to find, what it is I enjoy for exercise. So while I was busy figuring out that it was okay to love exercise, I also, because of this class, got very in tune with what I was putting in my body. One of our extra credit assignments was to basically track our calories. And there's an app called MyFitnessPal, and that's what we were supposed to use for the class. And we would basically, input everything that we ate during the day, and night if you're a midnight snacker. We would input everything that we ate into this app. At the end of the semester, we basically submitted kind of like a weekly report of like, okay, this is my calories, this is how much I was under or over, and anything that we noticed about our diets during that week. So because I always want to get the highest grade possible in my classes, I was like, extra credit, I'm gonna do it. So I downloaded MyFitnessPal, and let me just say, if y'all do like to track your calories, that app is fantastic. But part of me tracking everything was realizing a few things. I was like, holy cow, I eat a lot. Like, at the time, I would just kind of mindlessly snack, especially on sugar, because y'all know that's like, ugh, for me. But at the time, I was just mindlessly snacking. But when I had to actually input what I was eating into MyFitnessPal, I realized two things. One, I was really self-conscious of how much I ate, and I didn't want to have to, basically say, hey, so I had like 4 pastries today. So mentally, that kind of helped me be like, let me put the fork down. On top of that, it also gave me a better idea of how many calories a day I should be having. So as I started tracking things, I got more and more competitive with myself. And I was like, no, I'm gonna make sure I hit my calories today. And I was very rigid. I stuck with it. I still wasn't perfect because this was the first time I had ever tried to cut back. And one thing I noticed at the time was I basically felt like I was going to starve to death 24/7, and it sucked. I know now, after having gone about it the right way, that you can't just cut what you're eating if you're eating garbage. So if I'm having, let's just for example's sake, 2 ginormous plates of spaghetti a day. If I cut those down to, 2 very tiny plates of spaghetti, I'm going to be hungry. There's no veggies in there, there's nothing in there, but it's really gonna keep me full for a long amount of time. But at the time, I didn't really understand how this worked, and I was just thinking in my head, oh, less calories, I'm meeting my goals, I'm gonna lose weight. And I did. I was incredibly cranky because I didn't have the right foods ever, and I wasn't sleeping right because of it, so all of that kind of snowballed into a very grumpy me for the entire semester. But I actually managed to lose quite a bit of weight, and I was so excited because I was like, oh my gosh, this is the first time in my life I am seeing results. Like, something's actually happening. I mean, it was also the first time in my life I made the effort to do so, but that's beside the point. I was just excited. So when I started that class that semester, I was, I think, right around 250 pounds. And I got down to 230 pounds. And right around that time, the class ended and the holidays set in. By that point, I was so tired of being hungry and of making only healthy choices. I was not making healthy choices, but at the time, what I thought I was doing was making healthy choices. It was terrible. I basically was just starving myself and only eating very, very processed, very high calorie foods in smaller portions. So right when that class ended, I basically was just kind of mentally done. I was hungry, I was tired, and I missed all of my favorite foods. I felt like I had spent the entire semester restricting myself from all of the good things in life. And let's be honest, food is a fabulous, fabulous part of life, but it's not the only thing. However, when you cut back a lot, you feel like you are missing out. I know any of you guys that have done crash diets or fad diets or any sort of like really specific diet where certain staples had to be removed, I know y'all know what I'm talking about, because at some point you're like, if I do not get a donut, murder is going to happen. So yeah, I was pretty much done. But I was still at the back of my head thinking, oh, it's okay, I'm still gonna kind of track, I'll just, cut back a little bit. What ended up happening is I basically just ignored everything that I learned over the course of the semester, because even though I wasn't doing it completely right, I still had learned quite a bit in the class about how my body works. I basically just kind of was like, you know what, it's okay, I'll just take a short break, and y'all know how it goes. 1 day break, oh, okay, that turns into 1 week, and before you know it, it's a month, and bit by bit, I got back up to my original 250 pounds, and it sucked. I was so mad at myself. I was just like, oh my gosh, I failed completely. And I knew how to calorie track, simply, due to that semester, but I could never really bring myself to fully commit again, because that FOMO, y'all know what that is, fear of missing out. I was just like, oh, but what if I can't eat this? And what if I can't eat that? And even though I was like, okay, clearly I'm unhealthy, it was not enough for me to get it together and, I guess you could say, be dedicated to, tracking my calories and putting the fork down. Which brings me back to present day. For those of you guys who have been following me, I started the new weight loss journey in January. We are now at the end of the year, and at this point I am down 43 pounds. And I'm really happy with that. But I gotta say, everything stalled when I hit 230 pounds. I would have a week or two where I would lose, 4 pounds, and then it seemed like I would gain it right back. I got to 229, and I keep waffling at this point between 229 and 228. Most of this has happened in the last 2 months, right around the time when I hit 230. And I realized as I was making the outline for this video that there's something really big behind me being stuck at 230. I finally realized that I've almost been sabotaging myself, because last time I got to 230 and I stopped. I couldn't do it anymore. And I gained all the weight back. And I feel like at the back of my head this entire time, I've been like, oh, I'm never gonna successfully be under 230. I'm not gonna be able to do this. Like, I can't, I'm just gonna mess up and I'm gonna gain it all back. And I've basically been sabotaging myself. When I'm having food, and normally I would stop and be like, okay, let me pause. Is this a good thing for me to have? Is there something better I can have? Or do I just need to have a lesser portion size? It's like I would register, oh yeah, okay, this would be what the better option would be. And then I do the opposite. And it wasn't the same as when it started where it was a compulsion. I was just like, I have to shove this in my face. I knew what I was doing. It wasn't a compulsion. It didn't happen before I even realized it, but it was still happening and I couldn't figure out why. I was like, how did I get through this entire year, almost this entire year, changing all of my eating habits only to get to November and December and just kind of crap out? Like, what? And it finally clicked. I was like, I was just scared that I was gonna gain it all back. So I've been basically sabotaging myself to where that's what's gonna end up happening if I don't get myself in check. And it really sucks. Like being so scared that you're gonna gain all the weight back that you screw up what you're working on. It doesn't even make sense. It also made me very aware of the fact that I really, really do need to make the effort to reach out to my therapist and check in and be like, hey, this is where I'm at, and kind of see what's going on mentally and kind of check back in. Basically, I said I was gonna do it after the last video and I just, same thing, sabotaging myself, and I kept finding one excuse after another to not reach out and schedule that appointment. But I cannot seem to do that. So this is me putting all of this on YouTube to say that I'm going to hold myself accountable and get it together. So when I started this whole weight loss thing, I watched a lot of videos about people who have lost significant amounts of weight. And one of the things I commonly heard from them is, I'm never going back. I will never get back to what I was. I love what I'm doing with my life now. It is so much better. I feel so much better. I'm never going back. But for me, I'm still scared because I'm right at that weight where I failed last time. And I'm kind of terrified that I'm just gonna somehow gain it all back. Like what I've done isn't enough. And even though I lost more weight than I lost the first time, it still hasn't set in for me that I'm actually changing the way I eat. When that fear sets in and all I wanna do is, snack my feelings away, even when I try to do that, I can't eat the same amount. It doesn't taste as good, and I end up saving some for later most of the time. And so it's like, that's why I'm not actually gaining right now, but I feel like I'm kind of stagnant just because I'm fighting myself. One side of me is like, oh, screw it, eat what you want, girl. And the other side is like,
have you lost your mind? We have not lost 43 pounds just to gain it all back.
I need to listen to this side more. Like, it's scary. You don't want to just lose all your progress. It's also super silly because I'm just like, what am I so scared of? I'm the one who has to be accountable for this, because if I gain weight, that doesn't really affect anyone else except for maybe my spouse, obviously. But like, if I gain the weight back, like, that's gonna affect me and how healthy I am and possibly how long I'm gonna live. So why am I sabotaging myself? Like what is that helping? I was also really kind of scared to put this on video because I feel like there's so many people that have all of these weight loss channels out there that are like, oh, this is what I did and this is how I did it and I've been so successful, and I love them. Like their channels are fantastic. That's kind of what helps me to have some motivation. But I got to thinking about it and I was like, why am I so scared to document where I'm at in this journey? Like, the whole point is that I'm documenting every step of the way. I think anyone who is being honest with themselves when they are in the process of losing weight, if they have a significant amount of weight to lose, chances are at some point they're gonna struggle, and they might struggle for a few days, they might struggle for a few weeks, they might struggle for a few months. I don't know. It's different for everyone, but if we're not honest with ourselves about when we're struggling, it's never gonna get any better. So this is me putting the truth out there. I'm on the hot mess express, y'all, but I'm working on it. Part of me wants to be able to post videos that are like, oh, well, these are all the solutions to if you're stuck with this or if you're stuck with that. But the truth of the matter is, sometimes we're just stuck. It's not that there's no end in sight. It's not that there's no answers, but sometimes it takes us a while to get our crap together and do what it takes. So, step one for me, being honest that I'm struggling. I don't have all the solutions, but I am definitely not gonna stop trying. So I'm going to practice what I preach. I am gonna make sure to love myself every step of the way, not just when I reach my goal weight. And that means taking the time to take care of not only my physical health, but my mental and emotional health. So I'm gonna go reach out to that therapist and get something scheduled. I hope that you guys are having an absolutely wonderful Christmas. Just remember to give yourself a little grace. We know the holidays are hard. We usually struggle our way through them, but y'all got this. I've got this eventually. We can do this. So, if you guys like this video and you want me to keep them coming, make sure to press the like button down below. And if you haven't yet, please make sure to subscribe and hit that little notification bell. It really helps the channel out. Bye-bye. Tell me why my 31-year-old behind thought it was a great idea to sit on the floor to film this video just so y'all could see my like attempt at a Christmas tree back here. I'm too old to be sitting on floors. Things are hurting. I miss being 20.